Radhakrishna Foundation presents Samarpan, an offering of service.
वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देव महेश्वर गुरुर्साक्षात् परं ब्रह्मा तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। श्री गणेशाय नमः। श्री सरस्वत्यै दुं दुर्गाय नमः। ॐ नमः शिवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेव। कृष्ण गोविंद गोविंद गोपाल। कृष्ण गोविंद गोविंद गोपाल। कृष्ण गोविंद गोविंद गोपाल। भजो मुरली मनोहर नंदलाला। भजो मुरली मनोहर नंदलाला। भजो मुरली मनोहर नंदलाला। भजो मुरली मनोहर नंदलाला। कृष्ण गोविंद गोविंद गोपाल। कृष्ण गोविंद गोविंद गोपाल। वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय। So this word Shraddha, Sanskrit word, is very popular to most people. Shraddha comes from the root verbs Shrat and Dha, which means to hold or to align your mind with the truth. And here, not necessarily spiritually, even though we know this word Shraddha as having faith in God. Because there are different types of Shraddha. Today we will discuss the type of Shraddha that is directed to God or to Bhagavan. But for information's sake, Shraddha can be, towards a material thing. For example, having faith in an airline or in a taxi service because of its punctuality. So we'll look at both types of Shraddha, meaning faith, and understand the difference so that we can know what our faith in God means and how can that help us. Shraddhaya pujato devo nichasyami barpradaha. That God, when worshipped with faith, Shraddhaya pujato, when you do a puja with faith, nich, we know this word also, nich usually, it means like a mean person. But scripture is saying that when God is worshipped with faith, he bestows boons upon even a mean person. Bhagavad Gita helps us to understand what this faith means and how we can access it. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sattvanurupa sarvasya Shraddha bhavati Bharata. Shraddhamayoyam purushoyo Yashraddha saevacha. Yashraddha saevacha. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Here the word Shraddha is used in this verse. This is the third verse of chapter 17 of Bhagavad Gita. The faith of all humans conforms to the nature of the mind. What it says here is how your mind is, that is how your faith will be. That man is what his faith is. Faith can move mountains. We've heard this so many times. We also need to take into consideration that if our faith can move mountains, that our lack of faith can create them for us. However, faith can mean different things to different people. And this faith does not necessarily mean faith in God, for it depends on the lens that we use to look at what faith is. Faith is not something we're born with. It is something we acquire. In the strictest atheist, if we're just using the word faith loosely, the strictest atheist will have faith. He has faith in something. This faith could be in the form of trust in a certain institution or secular creeds, such as people have faith in human rights and they have faith in freedom of speech, etc., etc. A firm belief and trust in something is an expression of faith. For instance, Gandhi had faith in the incomparable importance of ahimsa, of non-violence. With such strong conviction and faith, he launched a non-violent movement where he changed the world by succeeding in liberating India from the most powerful British Empire. So we can see that faith comes in many different forms. Parents have faith in children. Children have faith in parents. We even simply have blind faith in everyday technologies, for example. This is the age of technology. We order something from Amazon and we urgently need it. We have faith that it will arrive the next day because of the faith we have in Amazon and its technology and its logistics and the system they use, etc. So we can agree that we all believe in something. Every day, millions of people turn on their television sets. Every day, people use their computers or they listen to the radio. Yet, most of these people, we don't have the faintest idea how these appliances function. The fact is that we don't really know, and we don't care to know how, electromagnetic waves are transformed into moving images and sounds. We just take these things for granted and we use them with the conviction that they will provide for our needs. So this is blind faith in things that we don't understand how they work. Let's look at more examples of faith from a worldly standpoint. We're told what our date of birth is, right? And we honor that for the rest of our lives. We have faith in our doctors, in whatever diagnosis they give us, even if we're not sure of the science behind it. We never question it. Faith in engineers. They build a high-rise that's 100 stories tall. We pay top dollars because if you can afford it, you want to live in the penthouse. And you pay extra money for that apartment, you have faith that this highest floor would not just topple over the next day when it's finished. You have faith in the engineer who you don't even know. Rabindranath Tagore says that faith is a bird that feels the light when the dawn is still dark. Faith is a knowledge within the heart beyond the reach of proof. Khalil Gibran. So when we have faith in these things, we don't necessarily understand how they work. Having discussed these, secular types of faith, we can ask ourselves, how firm is our faith in God? Because it has been established now that we have faith in so many things that we don't understand how they work. Do you think that God knows how you and your family are doing? Is our faith to that level? Do we think that He knows how our day went? Does He know what our thoughts are? That if we're thinking something adharmic, that He knows what you're thinking? If you sit and talk to God, do you really believe that He is hearing you? Do you still believe that He understands you even if He did not grant you something that you may have asked for? Do you still trust that He heard you and He understands you? Do we have faith that when something unpleasant happens, like a tsunami, for example, even though we don't understand the reason, do we have faith that God knows why it happens and He has the power? He's omnipotent. He can stop it, but He didn't, and that is because of a reason. Here's the amazing thing. When you develop faith, you'll see the rocks in your way becoming stepping stones. They now will help you forge ahead instead of being obstacles in your path the way you saw it when you lacked faith, as an obstacle. We'll start to see the things happen, or the things that happens in our lives, we'll start seeing them happening for us instead of to us. We'll start witnessing miracles in our day-to-day lives because of God's grace. Only then we will see clearly and recognize God's grace. We can look at different scenarios. Let's say that you have a plan in your head for a new car or a house. You work really hard to get it, but you just couldn't manage to get it. Do you feel that God is looking out for you? Do we think that He was supposed to help us? And because we couldn't manage it, that He didn't help us on purpose and He's spiting us instead? Do we feel that He does not care because we did not get something that we wanted or we asked Him for? We have to understand a simple term that is called Ishwar Ka Prasad. It is understanding that everything that happens to us, good or bad, is a gift from God. Ishwar Ka Prasad. Prasad means gift. So it's a gift from God. We have to ask ourselves, are we there seeing things as Ishwar Ka Prasad? Are we there with our faith? Can we accept everything as a gift from God, whether it's good or bad, helpful or harmful to us? We can be there if we don't allow our faith to be trampled upon by our doubts. Let's calm ourselves and the storm will pass, says Timber Hawkeye. Faith means many things to different people. But as we can see, whether we place our faith in secular institutions or scriptures or God, it's always a powerful and a most personal thing to us, our faith, whatever we have that faith in. If we have it in God, it will be the same thing. Our faith will guide our behavior and pave our path forward. And so if it is faith in God, then this can pay out for us. But how can we have faith in God? The question is, what evidence do we have to help us develop this faith? We want some kind of evidence. We don't ask for evidence in the worldly things, but when it comes to God, we want some kind of evidence. So we tend to say that we'll believe it when we see it. But people of faith say, when we believe it, we'll see it. So there's a difference, a distinct difference here. This is true faith. Faith is taking the first steps, even when you don't see the whole staircase in the dark, Martin Luther King. So do we have faith in God's words? Sri Krishna Govinda Hare Murari He Nath Narayan Vasudeva Sri Krishna Govinda Hare Murari He Nath Narayan Vasudeva He Nath Narayan क्षिप्रं भवति धर्मात्मा शश्वच्चान्तिं निगच्छति कौन्तेय प्रतिजाने न मे भक्तः प्रणश्यति। हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेव, हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेव, हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेव. Verse is verse 31 of chapter 9 Bhagavad Gita. Name bhakta pranashyati. Quickly they become virtuous and attain lasting peace. The first part of the verse. The second part is in Name bhakta pranashyati means Bhagavan is telling Arjun that declare it boldly, Arjun, my devotees are never destroyed. They never fail. Pranashyati means to be destroyed. My devotees are not destroyed. When we hear something like this, do we really buy into these words? These are the words of Bhagavan Sri Krishna himself in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Do we have faith that these words are true, regardless of our experience, that my devotees will never fail, that they're never destroyed? We need to register these words in the mind so that our faith can be strengthened. You remember what the Bhagavad Gita says in the beginning when we quoted? Sattvanurupa sarvasya sraddha bhavati bharata. The faith of all humans conforms to the nature of the mind. So we need to instill this into our mind. So why do we feel sometimes, especially when we fail at something, that there is no one on our side, no one is looking out for us? When things get tough, we feel alone. Let's honestly ask ourselves, what is our level of faith? Before we decide that we're alone, what is the level of our faith? And is it helping us in our everyday approach to God and His worship? We don't have to discuss this with anyone, but let's truly do some soul searching here and ask ourselves this question. When we feel alone, is because we don't have optimal faith. Do we buy the supplies for prayers in two different price categories? That would give us a good indication of our faith. That would help us to understand to ourselves that if we think God is present everywhere and if He will accept our worship and what we offer to Him, are we worshiping with faith or are we just going through the motions? Do we buy the perfect bunch of bananas to decorate the kitchen counter for when our guests come? And we set aside the less spectacular ones for our altar to offer to God? Do we buy and wear the most expensive and intricately designed saris and kurta to perform the puja as a yajman, and we buy the cheapest one in the store to offer to God? These are all indicators of the level of our faith, or if we even have faith at all in what we're doing. Just bear in mind, I'm not recommending what you should or should not do or offer, or what the price should be of what you offer. But this is just an exercise for you to honestly assess your level of faith and decide what do you need to do for yourself. So a less pleasant example, when someone dies for us, we take the corpse to the cremation ground. Everybody, while walking to the cremation ground, they chant Ram Nam Satya Hai, Ram Nam Satya Hai. The name of God is truth. When we're returning, however, it is said to everyone, no one should chant this, no one should continue to chant this anymore. We're either instructed or it is recommended to us. How quickly we revert back to our worldly ways. Because it is in the world that we have faith, not in the name of God, and the name of God is truth. Because if we thought so, we'd chant it anytime and every time. We should take the examples of the people in our scripture. Shevari, a tribal woman who's brimful with faith that Sri Ram would visit her. And she held on to that. Because she believes in what the scripture says, Shraddha, Shraddaya, Bhajata, Prasanta, Shilapi, Paladayini. That even a stone when worshipped with faith cherishes the desires of a worshipper. And as Hindus, we can understand this better than anyone else. Let's use a small story to explain that point further. There was an illiterate farmer. His name was Dhananjay. One day he saw someone kneeling in the corner of his field, so he went up to them and asked them, "What are you doing?" He realized that this person was a pandit. And the pandit said to him that, "I'm worshipping God," because he was doing worship in the corner of the field. So the farmer, never having worshipped God, said, "What is God?" Pandit said to my dear friend, "God is He who can give you everything and anything at any time. That you need not to go to a particular place for this, but God can give you anything, anytime." So these words, these solemn words, piqued the interest and the curiosity of the farmer. The Pandit got frustrated with the persistence of the farmer, that he wanted more information. So the Pandit decided, he pulled out a small round, a grinding stone from his pocket, and he gave it to the farmer. He said to him, "This is God." Okay, so what do I do with this? So the Pandit gave him instruction. He says, every day, first take a bath, then bathe God, prepare a meal for him. Not just prepare a meal, but prepare a meal with loving thoughts of God. Then offer that meal to him, offer food to him. But importantly, never eat until he does. Do you understand my instructions? The farmer nodded in approval and affirmation. So inspired by these words that God can give anything, the farmer went home. He did everything. He performed all the prior rituals that the Pandit told him to do. And he also made, 5 very thick chapatis, rotis. This is to offer to God because that was a part of the instruction. He did everything and he placed the chapatis there. And he closed his eyes and he went into prayers. He went into meditation. Every so often he'd look at the chapatis, see if God came to eat. The 5 chapatis are still there 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. It was now the 4th day. There was no change in the amount of chapatis. So of course the farmer became very disheartened. He has decided that he's not going to eat until God eats. And so now after 4 days, with tears in his eyes, tears flowing down his cheeks, and with a very heavy heart, he passionately said to God in his prayer that, "Oh my beloved, why are you not eating? Don't you know that I am unable to go to work while I wait for you? And if you don't come and eat, I will surely starve to death because I will not eat until you eat." So hearing this very impassioned plea from a very simple-hearted devotee, Bhagavan appeared from that stone in all his glory and he started eating. So the farmer is very happy. God is eating. Bhagavan has eaten 1 chapati, 2, 3, 4. By the way, the farmer, when God was taking the 5th chapati, he grabbed his hand and said, "Hey, if you are so hungry after 4 days, so am I. Leave the last chapati for me. You can't eat everything." The point of the story is that, Dhananjat here, the farmer, he had a very simple mind, even though 4 days went by. So this is a simple story, but what it depicts here is there are 2 qualities here. One is humility, and the next one is a childlike innocence of a devotee. God responds immediately to a pure heart. We know that. Nirmala mana jana somo hipava. If you have childlike innocence and you trust implicitly, then God will respond. You're a person of faith. So what we have to do is become diligent farmers and work the field of our minds. We have to pull out the weeds of lust and anger and jealousy, etc., of hypocrisy. We have to plant humility and innocence instead. We have to water these daily with spiritual practice. We have to also fertilize them with the practice of spiritual and scriptural wisdom. If we do so, God will surely come. We have to have implicit faith, like I said, in our scriptures and in God's words. We have so many different examples in scriptures of this, we can follow them. There's a beautiful example in Bhagavad Mahapurana. Let's look at what the words are. Kvachau yadi sa sarvatra kasmat stambena drishyate. Bhagavad Mahapurana is a very popular katha. When Hiranyakashipu, Prahalad's father, asked him when he was standing by the pillar, if your God is in this pillar, kasmat stambena drishyate, is your God also in this pillar? You're claiming that he's everywhere. What did Prahalad say? Kvachau yadi sa sarvatra, meaning that, my dear father, my God is everywhere, including in that pillar. This is the level of faith that Prahalad had. What happened? We know the rest of the katha. Hiranyakashipu hit that pillar so hard, and Bhagavan, Nirsingha Bhagavan, came out of that pillar. when we have faith to this extent that Prahalad had, things will happen to us in our everyday life. Tulsidas ji says in the second slok of Ramayana, Bhavani Shankarao Vande Shraddha Vishwas Rupino Yabhyam Vinana Pashyanti Siddha Swantas Tamishwaram. Shraddha Vishwas, this is the two words we mentioned before. He says that I greet Mata Parvati and Bhagwan Shankar with belief and faith, without which that nothing can work out for you. And this is why he was able to meet Bhagwan Sri Ram and Lakshman. He was able to have Shankar Bhagwan come himself to help him. Remember, there's a famous slok there, Chitrakoot ke ghat par bhai santan ke bheer Tulsidas chandan ghi se tilak det Raghubir. This is when Tulsidas ji was able to apply chandan and Bhagwan Sri Ram and Hanumanji. Because of the level of faith, in the beginning of the Ramayana, he said, with faith, because without faith, I cannot be successful. So faith is a vitamin that we can use to strengthen the level, the spiritual level of our soul. A man cannot live in optimal spiritual health without it, without faith. So we must develop our faith in God. We must understand that He is the intelligence that created this universe, that makes the sun rise and set, that makes the night turn into day and day into night. It is God who's the intelligence behind everything we take for granted every day, the oceans and the air, the earth, the wind, the mountains. We need to assess our level of faith. We need to be truthful with ourselves. We know that faith is truth. We need to make adjustments in our understanding and our actions to increase the level of faith. And this starts with accepting that God is always there for us, that He protects us, His devotees. We should learn to surrender, knowing that everything is in God's hands and everything that happens to us is Bhagwan Ishwar Ka Prasad, and accept that He knows what is best for us and don't have doubt. Having that faith is just one decision away from this moment that we can live happily. It is a decision that we should make. It's a decision in the intellect. All it takes is accepting. For us to build our faith up very, very quickly, the only thing we need to do is to accept that God alone is mine and I am His. When we think like that, we'll start seeing things more clearly. बार बार भर मांग हो हर्ष देह श्रीरंग पर सरोजयन पावनी भक्ति सदा सत्संग